Hello guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about conditional execution, the if-else statement, and how to use them properly. We'll learn the basics flow of if and build a simple project that utilizes this concept. So without further ado, let's get started. So a program can decide what to perform using a certain condition, if it is true or false. So using the if-else statement, we can achieve this. So let's see this in practice. We are going to declare here a variable. We are going to call this score, and we are going to assign this to a value of 90. So we are going to utilize here the concept of relational operators, and it's going to perform a simple test which will return either true or false. If you don't know about relational operators, I recommend you to check my video, and I'm going to link it in the description below. So these relational operators are used to perform simple tests, and they are going to return either true or false based on that operation. So we are going to use here if. So we want to check if this score is going to be greater than 90. We want to is greater than or equal to 90. We want to say that the candidate has passed. So we are going to call here the variable score, and we are going to use the greater than or equal. This sign is used to denote that greater than or equal to 90. So it's going to return either true or false. And we want to print here to say that the candidate has passed. So we are going to say passed. And this one, we want to print also a statement that is going to print after this. So let's write here another println function. And we say that this is the statement after if-else statement. So before we execute our code, let's go and see how this flow is going to execute the code. So now let's see the flow of one-way if statement, which we have declared just a moment. So we can say here, is the statement true? So we're going to check if the statement is true. And if it is yes, that this statement is true, so we execute the controlled statement inside the if statement block. Now, after finishing that, we are going to execute the statement after. And if not, so we have to execute the statement after if. So we are seeing here the code will be executed only if the statement is true. So if the statement is only true, we are going to execute this code. And if not, we are going to execute the statement after. So let's jump in and see how it's going to execute our code. So now let's run our application here and see what's going to be executed. Now our code has finished to execute, and it has printed passed. And now we have seen that this is going to pass, and then it has printed this is the statement after if a statement, because here our test is true. So let's change here and see if the test is not true. We are going to give this, for example, 70. Let's try and run this application. Now, as you can see here, the only statement which has been printed is this second if this println function, and it has not executed the code inside this block because this test is not true. So this was only one way. So if the statement is only true, we are going to print. So what if we want to print when the statement is not true? So we want to perform another action. So if this statement is not true here, we have to use another condition, which is called the two-way if-else statement, meaning that we are going to execute the code when the code is false or true. So here we can perform here, we can add another keyword, which is else, and we are going to open up. So we want to print here also. So we want to print here that the user has failed. So the user or the candidate has failed. So this is called two-way execution or two-way if-else statement. So let's see this how is the flow of this function. So two-way if-else statement. Let's see the flow of this two-way if-else statement. So because we are here inside, we are going to start, is the statement true or false? So if the statement is true, yes, so we execute the code controlled in the statement, and after that we execute the statement after the if-else statement. So now if not, we are going to execute the else statement, and after that we are going to execute the statement after if-else statement. So now let's jump in IntelliJ and see how our code is going to print. So now let's run our application and see the effect. Now the candidate has failed here, and it has printed this statement after if statement. So it have ignored this statement inside here, and it has printed this. So we can see here that the code is going to execute when the code is false or true. So if this is false, then it's going to look for another code, which is else statement, which has the candidate has failed. So this was the two-way if-else statement. So when we have multiple conditions, for example, we want to grade a score. For example, we have the 90, 80, 70, 60, 50 until to 0. So we have to use the nested if-else statement. So we can see this nested if-else statement. So let's add here another keyword, which we call if. Then we perform here another condition. So this is called nested if. So here we are performing this sequentially. So if this test is not true, it's going to check to this condition. So let's check here now. If the score, now we want this score to be greater than or equal to 80. So this is the second condition. Now we have to perform also the else if condition here, and we have to check for the score if is the score greater than or equal to 70. So we are going to continue with this flow. So now we are going to perform here a different println function and see what's going to be executed. So we want here first to say here the user has performed excellent. So we say here excellent. And we want here to say this user has performed very good. So as you can see here, we have performed this sequentially. So we want to print either of this statement or it's going to print none. So let's see the flow of this statement, and before we execute the code, we can see how is it going to execute. So now let's look here at the nested if statements. So we can see here is the test one true? So we are checking if the test one is true. If yes, we execute the statement and then we execute the statement after. If no, we have to check for the test 2. So we are sequentially checking this test. And if yes, we are going to execute statement number 2. After that, we are going to finish executing the code after that. If no again, so we have to check for test number 3. And if yes, we execute statement 3, then we execute finishing the other codes. And if no, we execute the code after. So this is called the nested if statement. So it's going to print either of these, or it's not going to print any of these or execute none of these. So execute one or none. But if we specify another else statement to the end, so let's first go here to IntelliJ and try to run our application and see what's going to be executed. As you can see here now, our score has given us good, and it has printed because this statement is false, this statement here is false, and this statement here is true because it is good, as you can see here. And the test is true, so it has executed this one code and it has not executed none of these. So it's going to execute one or none. So for example, let's try here and put -70 and try to execute our code. Now, as you can see here, so none of these statements have been executed, and it has executed the statement after because none of this is going to be here. So you have to specify the else statement. So you can provide here, for example, if you remove this condition, so we want only if here we have to print this, so we can remove this condition because we know the number which are going to be here is going to be to 0, from 0 to 50. So let's try and run this application again and see what's going to be printed. Now, as you can see here, it has printed very poor because all of this category here, they do not fit, and it only fit within this category. So it's going to start here from 0 to infinity. They are negative numbers, so any number here you insert. But if you keep another condition here, so it's going to execute only if these conditions are true. But here we have to execute one condition, so in all of these only one condition will be executed. So this was the way in which you can use the if-else statement in your projects. So now let's revisit our BMI calculator and try to improve it and create a way which is going to print the result according to the BMI result using this if-else statement. So we're here back in our project. As you can see here, we declared 3 variables, the name here, the weight and height, which are used to calculate the value of the BMI, which is weight divided by height times height. And we get the value and printed this value to the console and printed the name of the user. So now we have to add another functionality to print if the user is either overweight, underweight. So we are going to add this functionality using the if-else statement, and we are going to use the sequential if-else statement or the nested if-else statement. So we are starting here by writing our condition here. So we have the condition that if the BMI is going to be less than 18.5, this person is going to be underweight. So we can also write the else if statement here and check about the BMI. If the BMI is going to be less than 25, so the range between greater than 18.5 to the range that is less than 18.5 here. Also, we can copy this here and paste this 3 times because we have 3 conditions here which we are going to execute. So we can change this here to 30. So we want this range to be from 25 to 30, and this range here is going to be greater than 30. And because we want to execute either of these statements, so we have to keep here the else only, because we want to execute anybody who is going to be having a weight the BMI greater than 30 here. So here it is, the BMI here is greater than or equal to 30, so it's going to be 30 plus here. And here also it is that the range is between 25 to 30, and the range here is between 18.5 to 25, and here the range is less than this 18.5. So we can try to print this. So let's cut this and paste this one here, and we can also add here the value here if is underweight or overweight. So this person is going to be underweight. Now we can paste this here also. So this person is going to be normal, so we can delete this. This person is normal. Now also here this person is going to be overweight, so here we can say this person is overweight, and this person here is obese, so we are going to type here this person is obese. Now if we try to run this application, it's going to pick up a certain condition which is true and execute it. So let's try and run our application here and see what's going to be printed. Now, as you can see here, it has shown us that the BMI is 25.06, and if we round off, it is 0.7, and this person is going to be overweight because is in the range of 25 to greater than 25 to 30. So it's going to print this one here. So this was the short way on how you can use this if-else statement or the sequential and the nested if-else statement in your programs. So if you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Thank you for watching this video.